be treated badly. They won't be, confiscated of all that affection and love. They would be seen and heard. So these kids learn because narcissists, train their victim, and the narcissists don't spare their kids as well. Yeah, they are also trained, conditioned to, be forever indebted to them. Hello everyone, I hope everyone is doing good and taking good care of themselves. So today I'm going to talk about the maladaptive behavior and traits that a person develops in his or her, adulthood, if he or she has experienced, narcissistic abuse in the childhood and has a lot of unresolved trauma. Yeah, and before I get going, I would request you all to like, share, subscribe the channel, hit the notification bell so you guys are updated whenever we put out a new content. So narcissistic abuse is very painful and damaging. Yeah, we can't deny that. We might not see a physical scar, but please understand that the scar is in the mind. The scar is, there on an emotional level, on a psychological level. Yeah. So there might not be physical scar, but that doesn't qualify narcissistic abuse to be dismissed. Because there is no physical scar, there is no abuse. I get it. We get to hear a lot of these things around us when we talk about such, traumatic events that we go through, or, any kind of abuse that we endure, which is not of a physical nature. Sometimes, people dismiss, people gaslight, yeah, and people, invalidate our experience, saying, there is no scar. How can you say you were abused? Yeah. So narcissistic abuse is more, on an emotional and psychological level. Yeah, it doesn't leave physical scar. Now, narcissistic abuse really, changes you. Yeah, with, prolonged exposure to stressful, unpredictable environment, your body, is flooded by cortisol, and this happens from an early age. Your body is flooded with cortisol. You don't feel safe. You are constantly in that fight or flight mode, and then the narcissist validates you, yeah, every now and then, not on a regular basis, but tiny bits here and there. And then you have this release of dopamine, and you feel relaxed. Yeah. So, overall, being in a narcissistic relationship, or, being raised by a narcissistic parent, is very traumatic in a lot of ways. Yeah, it's not easy. It is both on physical, psychological, and chemical level as well. Yeah, because, there is a lot of, chemical ups and downs that happens on the inside. It's not just, out here, or you are not feeling well, or you are, feeling emotional about things. It's not, just still there. Yeah, if you look deeper, you are going to see the chemical changes that happens. And, this kind of a, mechanism, where you are all the time flooded with cortisol, and then tiny bit of, dopamine release that relaxes you, the entire process, the way how the narcissist trains you, or you can say being with a narcissist, is quite addictive. And this is what makes it addictive. Yeah, the narcissist withholds love and affection. Yeah, the narcissist doesn't see you, hear you, and validate you. The narcissist simply dismisses you. Yeah, you are stressed, you don't feel safe, you don't feel good. Yeah, you, as a child, all of us want a safe, predictable environment. We don't want to be in an environment where love and affection is withheld, where, love is conditional, where we are not allowed to be ourselves, where we are, parentified, where we are put into roles which is not fit for a child. Yeah. So narcissistic relationships, or those kids who have narcissistic parent, endure a very different kind, of an abuse since childhood. And that abuse impacts and scars them for the rest of their life. Yeah. So, narcissistic abuse is real, narcissistic abuse is painful, narcissistic abuse is on an emotional and psychological level, and yes, there is no physical scar. Yeah. So, what are the traits and, maladaptive behaviors that we get to see in adults who have experienced narcissistic abuse in their childhood. The first is low self-esteem. Now, children who endure narcissistic abuse, may grow up with a diminished, sense of self-worth. And, you can see that they would be struggling with their self-esteem in their entire adulthood, until and unless they choose to put a full stop, seek therapy, resolve all the issue, heal the unhealed trauma, then things will be different. But overall, those kids who endure narcissistic abuse in the childhood, you can see when they grow up to be adults, they struggle a lot with self-worth and self-esteem. Yeah? The next maladaptive behavior or trait that you get to see in adults, those who have endured narcissistic abuse, is people pleasing. Yes, this happens because these kids, they just want love, affection, they want to feel safe. Yeah. And they learn, you can say this is a kind of a coping mechanism that these kids develop, yeah, to survive that narcissistic household, because they know that narcissistic parents are going to withhold all that love and affection. Yeah. And a kid feels bad. All what a kid wants is love and affection, to feel safe, a predictable environment, but all of that is missing in a narcissistic household. So these are some of the I would say coping mechanism that the kid develops to survive that narcissistic relationship or to survive that childhood. And they are trained, conditioned. We know that narcissists are expert in training their victim to shapeshift, and the same thing is with narcissistic parents. They will withhold love and affection, they will gaslight, manipulate, sometimes they might be physically violent or verbally abusive, to train the child to comply to their needs and desires, and that's it. Yeah? We know that being in a narcissistic relationship is like walking on eggshells. So the kids learn the way how they are treated. They learn that they need to comply and please the narcissistic parent in order to avoid that stonewalling, in order to avoid that gaslighting, in order to avoid that withholding of love and affection. So the kids learn. This is a kind of an unhealthy coping mechanism that they develop, and this is basically to survive that relationship, to survive that childhood. Yeah, they get into this process of pleasing the parent. If these kids learn this from childhood, that if they comply, obey, and please their narcissistic parent, they won't be facing their narcissistic rage. Yeah, they won't be treated badly, they won't be confiscated of all that affection and love. They would be seen and heard. So these kids learn because narcissists train their victim, and the narcissists don't spare their kids as well. Yeah, they are also trained, conditioned to be forever indebted to them, to be forever in service of them. Yeah. So narcissistic parents actually train their kids to, I mean, first become parent pleaser, and later on when they grow up to be adult, they become people pleaser as well. So people pleasers are those who were parent pleasers. Yeah. The next maladaptive behavior or trait that you get to see in adults who experience narcissistic abuse in their childhood is that these adults have a lot of trust issues. Yeah, because their childhood was like a roller coaster ride. Yeah, it was quite unpredictable. Yeah, at any point of time all that love and affection was confiscated. At any point of time the parents used to become violent and aggressive and abusive. So they grew up in a disorganized household. They grew up in an environment that was not predictable. Yeah, mind it, it is very essential for a child to grow up in a very predictable environment, safe environment, where he or she feels safe, and he or she isn't pushed into that fight or flight mode on a regular basis. Sometimes it's okay, but a kid doesn't deserve to stay in that mode, yeah, for a longer period of time. Yeah, we know, I mean, anything can happen at any point of time. I mean, that is there. But the kids should be made to feel safe in their, family, in their household. Yeah. But we know narcissistic households are very unpredictable. If you say no, or if anything, goes south or not the way how the narcissist approves of, there is quite a turbulence that you have to endure and experience. So narcissistic households are unpredictable, and because of this, these kids, when they grow up to be adults, they have a lot of trust issue. And gaslighting plays an important role. One thing is the unpredictability that is there. The other thing is constant gaslighting. So these kids are not sure of themselves. The kids are not sure of the others. The kids are, constantly staying, or you can say living in a state of doubt. And they grow up to be adults, who doubt their own selves and who doubt the others. Yeah. That's how simple it is. Yeah. One thing is unpredictable environment. The other thing is constant gaslighting. And what do we get out of all of this? We lose the ability to trust ourselves and the others. Yeah. So, we get to see a lot of these individuals having trust issues. The next maladaptive behavior and trait that we get to see in adults, who endured narcissistic abuse in the childhood, is, these adults have problem in setting boundaries, because every time they tried setting boundaries, they were invalidated, gaslit, abused. Yeah. Because narcissistic parents don't entertain such things, privacy, boundary, nothing. They will run over you as if you are a carpet under their feet. So, and this is because narcissistic parents have this deep sense of entitlement, and they consider their kids as a part of them. Yeah. They don't consider their kids as a separate individual or entity. So they see their kids as an extension of themselves, and they expect their kids to do things their way, think and behave the way they do. Yeah. So narcissistic parents shame and guilt trip their kids whenever the kids demand privacy, or whenever the kid tries to set up some kind of boundary, or I mean, whenever the kid refuses or says no. I mean, that is something that causes the narcissistic parent narcissistic injury. And then comes litany of bad stuff, whether it is manipulation, triangulation, gaslighting, stonewalling, passive aggressive behavior, withholding of love and affection. A lot of things happen. Yeah. So the kid learns that boundaries are not good. Yeah. uh, to have boundary is to be selfish and mean. Yeah. That's what these folks grew up believing, or at least they were gaslit and made to believe that boundaries are for those who are selfish and mean. And in a family, no one can be selfish and mean. Yeah. Narcissists have their unique way of manipulating their victim. Yeah. And narcissistic parents are, of course, expert with their ecosystem around. You cannot escape the gaslighting. You cannot escape the manipulation. You will fall for it, and you will be messed up till the time you are around them or associated with them. The moment you cut off your ties, the moment you go no contact, you will have a lot of realization, where you will understand how stupid you were, how badly you were treated. Yeah. So for all of that, you need time. You need to spend time with your own self and stay away from the narcissist for some time. So yes, these individuals, they have problem setting boundaries. They are just like open book. Yeah. Because they were trained and conditioned since childhood that boundary is a bad stuff. Yeah. In any relationship, there should be no boundary, no privacy, no limitation, nothing. Yeah. Only then you are a good boy. Only then you are a good girl. Yeah. The next maladaptive behavior or trait that we get to see in these adults who experience narcissistic abuse in their childhood is that these individuals are afraid of criticism. Yeah. Because they know what comes after criticism. Yeah, because whenever they tried to criticize, refuse, or say no to their narcissistic parents, they were, treated horribly, and they don't want that. Yeah, so they avoid criticizing anything and everything. They just comply, please, and give everyone whatever they want. I know that is quite problematic, but I mean, what can we do if you are manipulated, if you are gaslit from an early age, if you are made to believe that, all of the good stuff is actually a bad stuff? I mean, how do you expect to function properly in this world? Yeah. Narcissistic parenting is nowhere close to healthy parenting. Healthy parenting is different. Healthy parents prepare their kids for this world. Healthy parents, prepare their kid in the best possible way, to fight any kind of situation and event, to, learn from their mistakes. Yeah, and to, keep achieving new things without, holding themselves back. Healthy parents, nurture their kids to be authentic, but in a narcissistic family, kids are not entertained to be authentic. Kids are entertained to be the version that pleases the narcissistic parent. Yeah, so these individuals, they are very afraid of criticism. So they, hold themselves back. They don't get into any discussion where they get to criticize something. They don't criticize. They either say yes or no, but they don't get into any kind of criticism because, they were not treated in a right way when they tried criticizing. Yeah, I mean, since the childhood. So, they learn that and they see criticism as a bad thing. Yeah. So, they choose the path of complying to anything and everything to keep peace. Yeah. So they avoid criticizing anything. They will always say yes to anything and everything. Yeah, a yes or no, but they will not sit and criticize, and why not this way, why are you doing this was not right, we could have done it this way. They avoid all of those discussions because they know what happened when they tried to do that in the past. Yeah. So yes, these individuals, these adults, they are scared of criticism. They avoid any kind of criticism. The next trait and behavior that you get to see with these adults is perfectionism. And they learned this in the childhood. Yeah, that they had to, be perfect. They had to do things the best possible way in order to get that tiny bit of crumb. I mean, narcissistic parents call it love and affection, but we know what, all of that love and affection is. It's just tiny bit of crumb. Yeah, in forms of affection or some, compliment, or, something superficial. Yeah, it's nothing substantial. Yeah. So these individuals, I mean, who grow up in narcissistic households, you know uh, learn that if they do something, it has to be perfect. Yeah, because there is no room for imperfection, and that's how they have been trained and conditioned since their childhood. Yeah, when they were unable to do things perfectly, they were literally, made to feel miserable. They were ignored, they were, dismissed, invalidated. All that love and affection used to vanish in thin air. They know the drill. Yeah, so they, tried anything and everything to do things perfectly. Because if they did things perfectly the way how the narcissistic parent, wanted, they would get that tiny bit of love and affection. Yeah, those crumbs will be thrown at them and they will feel good. Yeah, so, these individuals, they, grow up to be adults who are obsessed with perfectionism. They think if they will do things perfectly, only then they will be loved, only then they will be admired, validated, yeah, appreciated. So for those tiny crumbs, they overdo things. They try and do things, uh, with a lot of perfection, with a lot of effort. Even if it is not needed, they just invest themselves into it, yeah, in hopes that it will reap good results, yeah. So yes, perfectionism is again a kind of a coping mechanism that one gets to learn and develop in the childhood, because if kids don't do things right, they are made to feel horrible, yeah. And they learn that they need to do things perfectly, only then they will get those tiny bit of crumbs. And they grow up with this belief, and in adulthood they become someone who's obsessed with perfectionism, and they really burn themselves out. Even if it is not needed, they invest themselves into it to reach that perfection that is inside of their head, yeah. I mean, the level that they set, the benchmark that they set inside of themselves, they need to reach there, and only then they will feel accomplished. And when they are validated, then they feel good, as if they have achieved something, yeah. But if they don't reach their set standards, they feel as if they have not done things right, even though the thing is done properly, even though the thing is done right, but they don't feel good. They like to overdo, they like to burn themselves out, they like to exhaust themselves, yeah. So this is a kind of a coping mechanism that these kids develop in their childhood, yeah. Perfectionism, doing things perfectly to please their parents, and when they grow up to be adults, their partner, their boss, their friend, whatever the setup is, yeah. The next maladaptive behavior or trait that you get to see in these adults who experience narcissistic abuse in their childhood is, they uh, try and avoid conflict. Remember, a child is trained to shapeshift, yeah. So if ever the child says no, refuses, denies, dismisses, or doesn't do the things the way the narcissistic parent approves of, the child is made to feel, or you can say the child is made to experience a lot of bad stuff, and that bad stuff includes withholding love and affection, triangulation, gaslighting, stonewalling, silent treatment. So the kid, learns that, at all cost, I need to avoid any kind of conflict situation. Yeah, because if I go into any kind of, conflict, yeah, or if I'm a part of any conflict, I might lose, that love and affection. I might lose a lot of things. Yeah, and that's how they have been conditioned since childhood. So these kids grow up to be adults who avoid conflict, and of course the credit goes to the narcissistic parent. And these individuals, they simply comply to anything and everything, yeah. They want to avoid conflict at all costs. We know that conflict is good for relationship, for communication. Conflict is good, and one should engage into conflict resolution, and that's how you get to understand a lot of things. That's how you communicate, that's how you grow, yeah. And that's how even relationships grow stronger, if there is conflict resolution. But these healthy stuff don't exist in narcissistic relationship. So these individuals, they are scared of any kind of conflict. They really don't want to be a part of any conflict that is there, yeah. They want to keep peace, they want something that is stable. And in order to get that peace, get that stability, they will avoid conflicts at all cost, yeah, because they don't have good memories, yeah. And they had been trained and conditioned to avoid conflict, yeah. Don't say no, don't refuse, don't criticize, don't argue, just keep obeying your masters. In this case, keep obeying your narcissistic parent. And that's how you will keep getting your, a tiny bit of validation, love, and affection. Yeah, narcissist is going to keep throwing breadcrumbs at you, and you will, feel good. Yeah. So these individuals, really develop a lot of unhealthy coping mechanisms, because of that turbulent childhood. So yes, these individuals really avoid all kinds of conflict. Conflict is like a red flag. Yeah, they don't want to be a part of any conflict because they don't want to, lose peace. They don't want to lose calm. They don't want to lose stability. Yeah, because every time there was a conflict, either because of them or because of anyone else, they know how things were in the family. They know how they were treated and how they were made to feel. So, they avoid conflict. According to them, conflict is a bad stuff. Let me stay away. Yeah, let me just comply. Let me either say yes or no, or let me just run away from the scene, but let me not get into any kind of conflict. Yeah, because I mean, the end result won't be good. Yeah, because a very unhealthy, I would say, things were modeled by the narcissistic parents in these individuals childhood. So they grow up with a lot of wrong belief system. Yeah, that conflict is bad, I need to avoid it at all cost. Yeah, I should be able to pay anything to avoid conflict. Yeah, so this is, a very common thing that you get to see in the individuals, who grow up in narcissistic households. The next maladaptive behavior or trait that you get to see in these individuals who endure narcissistic abuse in the childhood is self-doubt. Because of constant gaslighting, these individuals, these kids grow up to be adults who, face a lot of challenge, with their self-worth and self-esteem, and they are in that doubtful state all the time because every time they, tried being themselves, every time they tried voicing out their feelings, they were gaslit in return, they were shamed in return. Yeah, and that's how, a narcissist controls their victim. In this case, the narcissistic parent controls their children by shaming them, guilt tripping them. Yeah, for being themselves, for voicing out what is in their mind, and then gaslighting them in return. You don't know anything, you have got zero experience, I have a lot of experience. You have got no idea what you are saying or what you are thinking. You are not feeling right, that's not the right way. So, gaslighting happens on a lot of different level. Yeah, and as a result of which, these individuals, they experience self-doubt. They are constantly in that, state of self-doubt. They never feel strong about themselves. They are constantly in that state of doubt. What if I do this? What if things go south? What if, the result is not good? What if, things go horribly wrong? They are in that doubtful state. Yeah, so this is because of that constant gaslighting in the childhood. Yeah. So yes, this is one of the traits and behavior that you get to notice in the individuals who experience narcissistic abuse in their childhood. And the last maladaptive behavior or trait that we get to see in adults who have endured or who have experienced narcissistic abuse in the childhood is that these individuals, have a lot of problem, or you can say they have difficulty in forming healthy relationship and connections. Yeah, because they learned that, in order to have a relationship, you just have to comply. There is no healthy criticism, there is no discussion, no ifs and buts. You just have to keep giving, you just have to keep doing what pleases the other person, and that's it. That's how relationships are built, which is absolutely wrong. But this is what is modeled, yeah, in front of these kids. Yeah, narcissistic parents train them that, I have bred you for a purpose. You have to serve me, then you'll get my love and affection. If you don't serve me, I will not give you, all that love and affection. So these kids grow up with a distorted, I would say, sense of a lot of things. Yeah. So, they think that relationships are all about complying, avoiding conflict, avoiding any kind of criticism. pleasing the other person, and that's it. That's how you form healthy relationship, which is absolutely wrong. Healthy relationship is based on open communication, equal reciprocity, conflict resolution. There is fight, there is argument, there is criticism. All of these things are there. But these individuals are, not taught all of these things. They grew up, in a very different kind of an environment where it was all about following orders, where it was all about complying, and that's it. Where they were trained to betray their own self and prioritize the narcissistic parent, yeah, the masters. So, these kids have difficulty in forming healthy, deeper connections, yeah. They get into a lot of superficial relationships, toxic relationship, abusive relationship. The cycle goes on because they don't know what healthy relationship looks like, yeah. They grew up learning that I need to comply, I need to do this, I need to do that, and that's how things will be okay. That's how I'll get my share of love and affection. Otherwise, I will be discarded, silent treatment, passive aggressive behavior. It's really nasty to be, raised or to experience all of this narcissistic abuse in childhood. Yeah, and to be raised by narcissistic parents. It's very damaging. I mean, it's quite detrimental for your mind, for your soul. I mean, for everything. It's very damaging. So yes, these were, a couple of maladaptive behavior and traits that you get to see in these, adults who experience narcissistic abuse in the childhood. So yes, this was it. In case if you would like to add in something, you can always comment below. Till then, take care of yourself. Lots of love and blessings to all of you. Bye.